Hey guys, this is Adam. Today's video is about how I climbed to Diamond and I wanted to share what I used to get to that rank. Let's get started. Number one, the first thing I did was I was kind of like a fill player. I played every champion, so to say, and what led me to start climbing effectively is I stuck to at least a minimum of 3 champions per lane that I played. Particularly, my method was all the champions that I pick, 2 of them share something similar, the playstyle's a little similar. In case my main or whatever I'm playing is banned, I can play something that is very similar so I'm not losing out entirely. And my third pick is the exact opposite of my first 2 picks. For example, if you're a bruiser top lane or you play like Vayne top, your third pick could be like Malphite, something completely opposite. So when you need to have that little pocket pick or something, that it's there for you. And that's what I did for the lanes. My second tip is I quit lane swapping, essentially, like in Champ Select. I quit lane swapping with people that asked me, or before I queued up, I stuck to one role. Because I was going from mid to ADC and top, and that's okay if you do need a little change. But don't do it like every other game, because your mentality changes for each role. And if you're winning games, you need to keep that same mentality that you're having, that you won the game, and take it with you to the next game in the same role. Another important thing that I found that was very helpful is in the early game, pre-6, try your best to kind of run with your jungler. Now, let me explain. If you're pushed to your tower, obviously don't do that. But if you have an edge on your opponent and you see your jungler wants to go invade or wants to go to Scuttle Crab, and you're tracking their jungler, or if not, your jungler is essentially going to track them. So if you move with your jungler, you have a better chance and odds you meet their jungler or don't, but you secure that small little objective, and if a fight breaks out, you're there first. Your laner has to try to shove the wave to try to roam down to where you are, and by the time they do, their allies should be dead. And it absolutely tilts the jungler when you're always consistently in their face. So not only is it the best choice to do so to help your jungler early, it also tilts theirs into not wanting to play, so it's a win-win. The next one's very simple, and it's so simple it's so simple that nobody really uses it, and it's just basic warding. Now, you can throw a ward anywhere you want and obviously get what you want, but if you kind of deep ward or place your ward in a position that covers 2 angles versus one big area, it helps a lot with knowing where their jungle is if you're about to get ganked, and it helps the rest of your team know where who and where is where during the laning phase. That helped me tremendously with me tracking the jungler, and I could ping that their top lane or mid or top river when I'm mid lane, and so my jungler knows what to do. Top lane can be safe because their jungler is nearby, and bot lane can be more aggressive if that's what they were trying to do. And now your jungler gets the opportunity to counter jungle or make a play in your lane or in somebody else's lane while their jungler got spotted, and now the pressure's on them even though they don't know that, but the pressure's on them and they have to do something. Because if they flip a gank, but yours has the knowledge of where their jungler is, the odds are your jungler makes a better play. So it's very important on ward positioning and just the general placing of the ward. For lower elos, ward placement isn't necessarily the greatest, and that's okay, and that's the point of the video, is to point it out so you can work on it. The next one I'd like to talk about is important too, and that is micro and macro. Micro is the mechanics of you playing your champion, and macro is knowledge of the game. The argument to that is you can't climb with just micro alone, and you can't just climb with macro alone. And I'm going to tell you now, that's not entirely true, but you do need both. I purely for years relied heavily on my micro, and that got me to high gold for years. Eventually, my mechanics led me to, I had to think about it, high plat, just from my micro alone. But I couldn't figure out why I couldn't go any further. I was better than my laning opponent. I had better mechanics than most of the players I was playing with, but I wasn't climbing. So I watched some videos on macro and such, and that's what led me to Emerald in general, was incorporating the macro. And the arguments finally had the macro and no micro. You could climb too, yes you can, but you're not going to get extremely far. They're both very important if you want to take climbing seriously. Side note, my hair's crazy today. I just had to say it. My hair's like fluffy and it's snowing outside. It's a little humid, and my hair's just. Yeah. Anyways, back to the thing. Now, in the case you get autofilled, it's best to kind of like in norms, just play every role at least 3 times so you kind of have a small understanding. Like if you are mid lane and you get autofilled support and you play at least those 3 games of norms as a support, you're not total booty. You know what I'm saying? Like you have a small understanding and no one wants to trade, for mid if you're a mid player and such. It's good to have a small little selection of knowledge, and if you, like I told you, pick 3 champions, then you have 3 champions to pick from those 3 games that you played and experimented with. So that just helps your odds from not knowing what to do. That one isn't gonna like make you climb, but it's also, I wanted to let that be known. Gosh, my hair is just crazy. Sorry, it's gonna bug me. That information is just in general gonna make it toward you don't auto lose. You kind of have to rely on your team at that point. Another one, it's probably one of the biggest ones, especially if you're in low elo or like mid plat, is don't trust your team. God. Just don't trust your team. And what I mean by that, like, if they're gonna make a play, trust them to a degree, but don't ever blow your sums, or someone's pinging assistance, like your top lane and your mid's like, come help me. Don't do it. Like, obviously their morale's gonna get shot if you don't, but don't. Your gameplay is your gameplay. It's kind of a judgment call if you want to do that. But I'm telling you now, the more times you trust your team in like specific situations, you're gonna get let down more than not. trust your gameplay. Trust you are going to be the carry. If they want help, you're like, no, you help me. I'm going to carry. Trust yourself. Trust your mechanics. Don't rely on your team. Now, like, of course, in team fights, trust your teammates and such to a degree. But if you feel like Garen hops on your Vayne, of course, go help the Vayne. If you don't think they can do it, of course. But just don't assume your carry could beat somebody or your mid lane or a jungler. Just assume they need help in a way. It's really a judgment call, and every game's different. But the point is just don't auto trust your team. Just give it, like, respect your team, but don't just trust them, because your LP is going to take the L if you do. And the final thing, and probably the biggest thing for laners, is wave management. Watch a 3-minute video. I'll post one if I have to. Wave management was my best friend. Now, like, I'm not going to get into the specifics because you can go find a video for that, or I'll just make one. But learn to slow push. Learn to fast push. Learn just the very basics of freezing. Because you can't just shove and expect great results. Learn to use your resources to your advantage. If you're top lane and you freeze the wave, their jungler has to come help out that top lane to break up your freeze. Now, they're 2 levels down. The jungler wasted his time because he can't kill you, or they try and they fail. They blow sums, you blow flash, whatever. You wasted the jungler's time. Their lane opponent's getting frustrated because they can't do anything, and you're just sitting there hopping up the gold, and your jungler's doing stuff. And that's just top lane. There's many different perspectives. Just learn the very basics. Just the very basics. Just at least fast push and a slow push. If the freeze is a little, like, not your strong suit, cool. Watch a video, or I'll make one. And learn those two at least. You're, like, in low elo, not a lot of people do that. They just hard push and roam, which is, I guess, okay. But if you want to get better as a player, learn to wave management. That's pretty much all the topics. I could probably think of a couple more, but this video was just kind of like a spur of the moment. I didn't think about it. Everything I've said, take it to heart if you're serious about climbing. Watch a couple of videos on YouTube if I don't have any in the future. There's some that are like 3 minutes long, some are very detailed and explained. But take everything I've said into consideration and use it if you'd like to climb. That is what made me climb from Gold 4 to Diamond 4 in one season. Those were the top tips I did. Alright guys, this is Adam, and I'm heading out. Thanks for watching the video. If you wouldn't mind, please liking the video and subscribing. It helps the algorithm, it helps me out tremendously. And thanks for watching. Okay, see you later guys. Adam out.